This is Bliss Oasis. Change your thinking, change your life.
I want to know.
Everybody wants to know.
I want to know.
Everybody wants to know.
I want to know.
Everybody wants to know.
Oh, I want to know.
Everybody wants to know. Oh!
Who made the sun? Who made the moon? Who made the stars? Who made the earth? Who made the water? Who made the wind? Who made the planets in this universe?
Thank you very much, Patrick. I am delighted to be here at this Oasis.
Yes.
And my name is Njache. I am a registered and licensed herbal practitioner. I'm also an entrepreneur, a manufacturer in the cottage industry of medicines that are naturally derived or extracted. Why natural medicine? For me, basically, even though we use the name medicine, I really would probably call them supplements because.
Hello and welcome again to Bliss Oasis Africa podcast, where we go out there to get untold stories of everyday people. Health is a very important thing in our life. Health, in fact, we are told that health is wealth. You may have all the money in the world, but if you are not healthy, you are not rich. And so today we are going to discuss health and what is all about health. What are we discussing about health? Because health is a very wild topic. And before the Western, what do you call it? Is it colonialism came to country? We still had our medicine. Where did it go? Because every time you get unwell, you think of running to a pharmacy or going to a doctor and so on. So what happened before that? I'm sure we had our own medicine. And to shed light on that, we have my friend Jack, who will introduce himself properly. And he will tell us why local medicine, why herbal medicine, why alternative medicine. And we are going to discuss all that. And Jack is going to tell us, first of all, he'll tell us who he is and why he's into it. But first of all, Jack, welcome to Bliss Oasis Africa, where we give untold stories of everyday people. We don't go to celebs, we go to ordinary people like you can tell us their story. So welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Patrick. I am delighted to be here at this Oasis.
Yes.
And my name is Jack Njache. I am a registered and licensed herbal practitioner. I'm also an entrepreneur, a manufacturer in the cottage industry of medicines that are naturally derived or extracted. Why natural medicine? For me, basically, even though we use the name medicine, I really would probably call them supplements because these are just plants. So it's demystifying that area of traditional herbal medicine and bringing into it the clinical aspect of it, where we can explain the efficacy of a plant, the compounds it has, and what makes it effective. So that's my space, and it's an exciting space because it is where we have come from as you introduced the subject. We had medication before, and we are just revisiting. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. There's a lot of mysteries which we are going to demystify. And one of them is like traditional medicine, or what we call alternative medicine. For a long time, it's been shunned. And some people cannot tell the difference between a herbal doctor and a witch doctor. What can you say about that?
That, yes, indeed, that is, it was deliberately made like that. This is not something that came by accident. When the colonial power came to the company that was Kenya, they wanted to obviously enter into not only the religious space, but also the health space. And they did this by deliberately demonizing herbal medicine. There's a story told about the Muzungu who came and set up a clinic, and they deliberately introduced a skin disease in the area of Mount Kenya, from which the local herbalist had never seen before. So as he was researching into it and trying to find out which concoctions to give, he came up with a plant, and that had to be burnt into ash, and people had to wipe it on themselves. And so it was just putting ash all over. And that was a normal, probably, thing by then. But just next to him was the clinic of the doctor, probably from Scotland. And they said, if you come to my clinic, I can give you some medicine which will heal you from the skin discomfort, and you will not have to put ash over yourself. And there's a song that has been made to remind us of that. In Kikuyu, it goes something like "Dahunyokete giuma kwa wainga." I think you must have probably heard about it. So that's where it came from.
Okay.
I was, full of ash and not good to look at. Coming from Wainga is the demon, and so they demonize the traditional doctor, and that's where the fine line between witch doctor, witchcraft, and the doctor who was actually the Mondomogo. And there are several different aspects of those doctors. There were some that, for example, were specializing in birth, and we call them the traditional midwives.
Yeah.
So that was also an aspect of health. And there were others who would give particular medicines for maybe surgery. We know now that cesarean sections, for example, were done long before the Western medicine came to the scene.
Wow.
So that's in a brief way.
Yeah.
And it went to the extent of passing a law. I can't remember the particular law now, but there was a law until very recently.
Okay.
That actually made any practice of traditional medicine a criminal offense.
Wow, that's interesting. When you say, if I may use the word, the Mzungu deliberately introduce a skin disease so that people can flock to him to heal it. Reminds me of the stories we hear that they actually create viruses. They say AIDS. They say even the recent there is a disease. What was it called? Corona. They say it was created in a lab so that they can introduce the vaccines. So apparently the whole thing keeps on, going on and coming back. But then, before we go further, how did you come to enter into herbal medicine? What triggered you to go into that direction? Because I know, and we'll talk about it later, because I know apart from selling the products, you also have a course. We'll talk about it later, but how did this all start?
Yes. Right, thank you. I think the trigger came when my father passed away from prostate cancer.
Okay.
And when he was diagnosed with the prostate cancer, we had a long journey in terms of going to the hospital and clinics and diagnosis and different diagnosis from different doctors. And it was a period of time where there seemed to be not enough understanding among the people that we had come to trust, that is the health providers, the hospitals, as it were.
Yeah.
But then they also suggested that he had to go through an operation, surgery.
Mm.
And after that, he seemed to be on the mend. But very quickly after that, he lost the battle to the cancer. And he had taught us about a few herbs. And I remember his brother one day just asking a question. He said, his name was Joe. And he said, how could Joe die from prostate cancer? And yet he knew about prunas, which is called moiri in Kikuyu. So that was something I overheard. And it really was a trigger to go back and remember that even my grandmother, at one time when I was 11 years old, had applied a particular plant on a cut that didn't seem to be healing. So that reminded me of that plant. And then it reminded me of how she would cover us over a basin of hot water with some plants inside. And I just began to see this other alternative of medicines. Then I remembered my grandfather also always putting some herbs in the soup. So I began to really question about the things that seemed quite normal for our forefathers, but for us were something that you thought was of a past era. And so that is where I began. And I was fortunate that my brother met a convocation of herbalists or a meeting of herbalists from Africa. He was covering that as a journalist. And he asked me if I would be interested in coming to have a chat with these doctors. And from that came my association with my mentor for the African herbs. That is Dr. Murangeri from Embu, who runs the Murangeri Clinic. So that is who took me under his wing and took me through learning about 50 different herbs that are common around us. And that is really the basis for where I am now, just asking those questions. How come some people are losing life? Even in spite of the Western medicine advances.
Yeah.
And how come traditional medicine seemed to work very well in some areas? Yes.
So how long was this journey after, your dad passed on and then you started asking this question? How long was it until you met, is it Dr. Murangeri?
Mm-hmm.
And then you became his student. How long was it?
I would probably put it at about 10 years.
10 years.
Yes, 10 years. It probably also coincided with the fact that I had transitioned from doing a 9-to-5 job, which was giving me a lot of time.
Okay.
However, with Dr. Murangeri, we probably have been working now for probably about 3 to 4 years.
And those 3 to 4 years, what have you learned from him?
I think the very first thing he shared with me, which is now probably one of my principles, is that like treats like, so that God has put in the nature around us a clue as to what can heal any condition. He also gave me the confidence that there is no condition that has not been addressed by what the universe has provided for us. And that now is called the doctrine of signatures scientifically. And it simply means that if you were to look at, for example, an avocado, and you sliced the avocado across and looked at it, you would immediately see the resemblance to a uterus. And so you would know that that has something to do with probably medication for that organ, the woman's reproductive organ. And over time, now scientifically, it has been proven that the bark from the avocado tree is able to bring fertility to someone who has been infertile.
Wow.
So that's just an example. If you were to cut a carrot again across and look through, you would see the resemblance to an eye. And so you would know that carrots are good for the eyes. And so also, if you look at a tomato, a ripe tomato, and slice it through, you will see the seeds in it, indicative of a lot of seed. And where do seed come from in a man? From the testes. So it just happens that with the lycopene that is in the tomato, it is a cure for prostate cancer. If you are to look at the banana plant, there is a purple, I don't know whether to call it, just after the bananas, there is what in Kikuyu we call kiogoro, and it's purple. And if you look at the shape of it, it tells you it is the shape of a heart. And for many people, they don't know that you can actually use that, and it can treat the heart. So all around us are similar plants that tell you immediately this is what something can be used for. So that is one of the things that Dr. Murangeri taught me. And he also showed me plants that had traditionally been used over many years, took me through taking my samples for testing, and also on the path to registration and licensing.
Okay, that's very interesting because I've heard of similar stories about plants, like the eye, the tomato and the eye. Is the tomato or the carrot?
Carrot, yes.
But I thought that was just somebody was making stuff up. And going by that,
It's true.
does it mean going by that if somebody with prostate cancer, for example, or eating of tomatoes, can it prevent or cure prostate? For example, how would you treat somebody with prostate cancer?
Yes, absolutely. As has been proven, most disease is because of deficiencies in our nutrition. And so if one were to have tomatoes as a regular part of their diet, then this would be preventive. And that is the other principle about herbal medicine, that prevention is better than cure, so that when you are already taking precautions in terms of making sure you have your minerals, your vitamins, and your phytonutrients, then it is unlikely that disease will come to the body. And that leads probably me to another area, and that is the area of it was never intended that our bodies should be unwell. And that has taken me now to another journey of metaphysics.
Yeah, what I'm saying, obviously, God did not create sick people. I mean, why would he create people who will be sick? So there must be a reason. Maybe you can comment about that.
Yes, well, traditionally, my understanding was that sickness comes because of sin. And sin was made to look like making mistakes, maybe breaking the 10 commandments, for instance, so that
Breaking the law.
If you break one of the commandments,
You broke them all.
yes, you've broken them all, and therefore it means there's a God of wrath who is going to punish you for having broken the commandments. So that is the background that I came from, and just thinking, yes, if somebody is sick, they must have done something wrong. Now, with the better understanding, as you have said, God would not be mean to make someone who would get sick. He has made us in his image. And that has been an exciting place, just knowing that we are meant to be well always.
And therefore, that's why he put us, or he put curative plants and medicine where we are. And in fact, if we go by Genesis, that those plants and fauna were put in place first before we were created. And therefore it's available for us to use for food and for health. After all, they say our food is our medicine and vice versa. Now,
absolutely agreed.
Now, this begs the question, if, for example, I was put here and my environment, I was given what I can use. A Chinese in China was put where they were put and they were given the environment.
Yes.
An Indian with the environment. I'm sure Europeans also have their own traditional medicine.
Yes.
The environment. Yes. Now, if I'm given Indian or Chinese medicine, will it work for me?
Wow, you have stirred the hornet's nest. Yes, and I thank you for putting the foundation. You have laid the foundation very, very well. God put us all in the boundaries where he put us in. It was not an accident that we are in Africa, and that is in the book of Acts. So he does put us where we are, and then put everything that we need around us. So that's a wonderful, wonderful foundation. So if we have everything around us to sustain us, we do not need anything that comes from outside. It could be controversial, but it is the truth that all we need is always around us. I was very surprised because there was one medicine I was looking for, and I thought it only came from India. That is ashwagandha, because they use it in Ayurvedic medicine. They use it in Chinese medicine. So I thought, how are we going to get this ashwagandha? And you can actually get it from either Europe, which has come most likely from Asia, only to be so surprised to find ashwagandha in Kajiado. And so I stopped looking for anything from outside. And that is something I teach about and also have seen work, that you don't have to go very far. Sometimes all you need is actually in your county. It may be something different, but in your county, there will be something to address the same condition. And the universe is so giving and so abundant that they don't give you only one medicine for a condition. And also, as you said, we're going to demystify about herbal medicine. One plant never only has one end to it. One plant can probably treat 3, 4, even 5 different conditions.
Okay.
And so what we are then now learning is that a combination of these plants is what given to a particular person will bring the intended result. So
Okay.
with great respect to the traditional Chinese medicine and also great respect to Ayurveda medicine and the Western tradition, Africa has a rich heritage of medicine, natural medicine, and we do not need to borrow, or we do not need to bring in anything that has come from outside. I am of the belief that what has come from the outside was probably meant for those people from whence it came.
Okay. Another question is like, okay, when we talk about natural or alternative medicine, and we do have the herbal medicine, but in, for example, China, they have brought acupuncture and reflexology, which is like, have been, has been adopted and taken, received very well in Western countries. What would you say about that? Acupuncture, what do you call them, energy points and so on.
When it comes now to other natural ways of healing, I believe we still are all one. We may have something that we can give to another tradition, and we could also borrow something from other traditions.
Okay.
But when it comes to the plants where I draw the line and say, if you have a plant around you, you may not need to get a plant from the outside. But yes, I think as Africa, we're able to give some good things in our traditions, and acupuncture, it works, as does the practice of mindfulness and meditation, which we may have probably lost along the way in Africa, but we can, so to speak, get a jump start from our brothers in the East.
Okay. You also give courses because, okay, you're an entrepreneur, and part of it, I think you have a college, you teach this, herbal medicine or therapy, and also you make your own medicine, which you sell. And people, we will give your contact later, but people may want to know about the classes you give and how it works.
Thank you. One of the conditions for registration and licensing, which I really, really like, was that because we are getting less and less herbal practitioners, the government has deliberately asked for those who have qualified and are registered to teach the same. And so I started teaching in the community, in the local community. The uptake was a bit slow. However, we've been able to have interns who are willing to continue learning physically so that we can move around together, look at plants. But for the other sector, those that are interested are usually working. And so what I do is I have an online program that runs about 12 weeks. And for those 12 weeks, we meet once every week for 1 hour on Thursdays at 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. And that is a course that after the 12 weeks, someone gets certified with introductory course to herbalism, which then is an gateway to go and now get licensing and get registration.
So you have one course that's ongoing. So how long ago did you start, and can somebody join in after it has started, or they have to wait for the 12 weeks to end and then apply?
Thank you, Patrick. We are on cohort 4, and this begins this Thursday, this week. After that, then we close for this 12 weeks. Until we will have enough staff, we can only do one course at a time. I do look at a time when probably we have enough people qualified who can be able to offer the course. And then in that case, we will have more opportunity for those who are interested. And one of the challenges has been some people might not be able to come on a Thursday evening, and they would prefer another day, for instance. And others might not be ready right now, but next week or next month, they might be ready. So yes, that is one of the things that is a challenge, that once we start the 12 weeks, we will have to wait to advertise after the cohort has graduated.
I see. This video will be watched for a long time, and people may wonder when is this week Thursday was. Yeah, for those who may watch next week or next month, we are recording in June on June 4th, June 5th, 2024. But you can still get the information on how to register, because we are going to put the contact in the description space below. So, and are there any in-person courses, or is it just all online?
The course at the moment is online, and the reason for that is I have moved from my Kajiado base to Nakuru.
Okay.
And that has made it necessary to just be online for now. But we are making plans to have a physical class, even if it is probably on Saturdays, even for those who do the online class, so that they can come and do their practicals in the lab. And so I'm looking forward to launching of the physical classes.
Okay, so maybe one of the few last question is how is the alternative medicine and herbalism accepted now currently? Because there was a time when people would really shun away from the same.
I would love to say that it is fully accepted. We are, even in the classes, one of the first topics is we put herbal medicine on trial, and we look at the efficacy, we look at the limitations, and we look at what are some of the things that we need to do, and why it is not as accepted as it should be in this country, as for example, compared to India or our brothers in Tanzania, who are quite a way ahead. At the moment, they actually have one hospital where the only medicine you get is herbal medicine. So that has been widely accepted. Even in Uganda, it is widely accepted. But in Kenya, there is an accusation, and it is valid, that there is a lot of quacks who are practicing as herbal doctors. There's a lot of powders that are not genuine. And so there's the get rich quick scheme that has put the herbalism, because people have had bad experiences. There have been very big promises by notable houses of herbalism. And they were let down. So right now there is actually a pushback, and it now behoves us as herbalists to get together in a society where we can now have oversight over this area. And there is a traditional body called NATEPA, which enforces the standards. There is now training ongoing for all herbalists who are willing, done by the University of Nairobi, where we are looking at the standards of these medicines that we are making, and how to bring them up to the standard that expected. So a lot of good developments, and weeding out of products that are not genuine. It will take a bit of time for that acceptance to reach where it ought to. However, the good news in the traditional areas, or rather away from the cities, where people are not out to make a lot of money by selling medicine, the traditional medicine is still widely accepted. And
Yes, I understand that the regulation bit of the herbalists is quite in order, because, as you say, we have a very many quacks, and some people can't tell the difference between mganga mashuhuru kutoka Kitui or even Kisii or other places, because waganga, which is like more loosely translated, is like a witch doctor, and actually mganga is the herbalist. The witch doctor is mchawi in Kiswahili, but many people can't tell the difference. So,
True.
so as you say, this association is going to do a good job when they put everything in order, so that people really know where they go. And I think a good idea of having a hospital, or even the hospital that we have, they can have an alternative area where somebody who desire to have herbal medicine, or as you call them, supplements, can go there, can decide either to go for pharmaceuticals or for these other medicine. What would you say?
Yes, one of the things, as we come towards the end, is I want to emphasize that herbal medicine does not, or natural medicine does not address everything. There is room for other traditions in terms of, for example, Western medicine. Well, a long time ago, if I broke a hand, I would use the traditional methods using the herbs. Today, I can go to the doctor and have a cast, for instance. So there is a lot of things that we are not able to do, and that is something that we have to come to terms with. So if someone says they can treat everything, I think take that with a pinch of salt. They are likely not to be mganga, they are likely to be Njache. So I think also that symptoms are not necessarily a bad thing, because symptoms are the body reminding us that it is actually trying to come to a balance. And as we said earlier, God intended for us to live on a balance, or what the science calls homeostasis. So symptoms are good. Let's find the cause for the symptoms, deal with that cause. And there may be different ways of dealing with that cause. It could be that you just need to be still. It could be that you need to just meditate. It could be that exercise, and the biggest of all, nutrition. So with that, I think let's not say that herbal medicine is bad, but it is not also the panacea or the cure-all for everything.
So there are times when we also need, as you say, a combination of the same.
Absolutely.
And therefore, there's some stuff that the Western doctors, the Western or modern medicine cannot address, and vice versa.
Yes, indeed. In fact, even when someone comes with a condition and then we're trying to find the cause, I will send them usually to the hospital for the diagnosis, because Western medicine is ahead in terms of diagnosing conditions. So we work side by side. We're not opposing one another, but where we can be able to offer natural medicine, which tends to have less side effects, it is more affordable, and it is also within reach.
Okay. So after having worked under or with Dr.
Murangiri?
Yes, after working with him for those number of years, I'm sure, and again, you are now licensed, I'm sure you do have the products or the supplement that you sell. Where do you sell them? From your house? Do you have a clinic, or how do you do it? Or a shop, or how do you do?
We have an online clinic currently. In a few months, we will have the shop that is where you can go physically, and that will also be where we will practice the clinic. And for now, you can get us on Facebook. We have a Facebook page, Rigita Herbal.
Mm.
And you can also get me through my phone number, 0722 340 979.
Okay, so thank you very much for that. And as we wind up finally in this program, you may have one or two words that final word you may want to give to future clients or to the listeners in general.
Thank you, Patrick. My final word is for us to remember who we are, and what we see is really what Paul called the temple of the Holy Spirit. So we are first spirit, and if you know that, and you know that, then you know that you cannot be unwell. And I wish good health to us all. And when we need to get balance again, because perhaps there was a deficiency, look out for the natural medicines. You will be able to find genuine herbal practitioners. And I look forward to a much more healthy nation. And thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much for coming to Bliss Oasis Africa. And I think even me personally, apart from our viewers, we are more informed about what you do, and also about natural medicine, alternative medicine, and the fact that God gave us already what we can use naturally for our own use. That is when our body became imbalanced, because God did not create us to be sick. That we became sick because we are in balance. And therefore, you also saw the light of the fact that all medicine or all alternative medicine, or all medicine in general, cannot, or rather they have to work together. Like, you cannot solely live on traditional medicine, although we did those days. But now advancement in modern medicine have got advantages which can be shared with the alternative medicine and vice versa. So then, thank you very much. And I hope to be meeting you soon again, either here in another program or the place we normally meet somewhere, which myself and yourself know. And until then, thank you very much and God bless. Bye.
Namaste.
Bye.
Know,
Everybody knows.
yeah, now I know.